I'm the luckiest person if I just go and randomly climb a tree. My dad sent me a message, wondering if I seen anything. Text him back, and as soon as I put my phone in my pocket, I'm looking like, well, that dark spot, I know good and well I hadn't been there all morning. Got my binoculars up, and it was a pretty decent deer. It was probably 16 inches wide, and it was quartering away real hard. I'm like, man, I ain't gonna take that shot because I'm either gonna gut shoot it. I just didn't feel comfortable with the shot, the way the position the deer was standing. And then I'm like, well, crap, this morning shot. Well, then it wasn't probably 10, 15 minutes later. Keaton got me using this nose jammer.
Yeah.
And I really, really believe that stuff works. It was a doe. I could see her walking, and she kind of made like a light blow. And she was spooked, but she wasn't. I don't guess she knew what I was or whatever. Well, she come around kind of behind me, and I could see horns going through the cutover. Well, then it just like disappeared. Well, then look, where I originally had seen the deer, he done backtracked out, and he was coming down a skidder road trying to cut her off. And I had my daughter 708, and first deer killed with that gun, and 4-year streak is broke.
All right. Another Buck Junkie. We are back.
Yeah, I think everybody thought we was out of business.
You think so? Shoot, no, it's deer season.
And a long Christmas.
Man, we're coming to the close of deer season really fast. How many days do we have left?
Not a week.
Not enough.
Let's see. Today is what, the 16th or something like that?
No.
Is it later than that? Is it 20th? What's
21st.
21st.
Where you been?
We got 10 days. I've been all over.
I mean, really, in all honesty, all of us in the past 2 months have just about been on the road every week.
My wife is tired of me going.
Being gone.
Yes. If I hadn't been down here, I've been out of town.
Yeah, me and Mark was down here Saturday, and I guess you was grounded till that afternoon. I guess you got to come down here that afternoon.
You got let out of the closet.
Yeah. But she was
trying to get some brownie points. I got to take her to the, we're going on a little tropical vacation here next month. So I'll be gone a week. But other than that,
it's not tropical weather here right now.
No. Man, it snowed a little last night.
Yeah.
Me and Mark stayed down here last night. We had an interesting hunt yesterday evening.
We had an interesting evening.
Yeah.
I know I fired my cameraman, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. I learned something last night, Mikey.
What's that?
Pull that phone out. You want to record something, and it's done got, twilight on you, right? Yeah. Those last few minutes before shooting light, that light will come right on.
There's a lightning bolt up in the left corner of your phone.
It don't do it until you hit record.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, I'm not a camera guy. I'll tell you that. If I could hold the phone.
I wish you'd have told me that before we had a Boone and Crockett walk out there.
Yeah, we were on doe patrol.
If you've ever, usually when I turn mine on, when it starts getting, because I've done that before. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
But I'll turn my phone, when it gets low light like that, I'll turn my phone and hit record with it facing the floor. That way I can see if it came on or not. And, a lot of times I can still see that little button in the top left corner. You got to hit that to turn it off.
I figured that out, but that deer smooth sauce.
Oh, she was getting gone.
Last 2 times I've hunted with Mark, we've just been on a mission. Mark got him a new 350 Legend, and he's wanting to kill a deer with it. So we were going to kill a doe. We need to kill some doe off this place. And we went.
We ain't had good luck.
No. The first time we're sitting there, and I said, "All right, Mark, we got a good sign of this plot. The deer been coming out down there. We know where they're crossing, coming out of this old cutover, coming to feed. They're going to be there right, last light. That's how they do." And I said, the only place they can't come is to my right. If they come right here, you're on the left. We're going to be screwed. Well, we sat there. I don't know. It was probably about 5 o'clock, wasn't it? Still had about 45 minutes of shooting, probably. And I look over and I'm like, shoot.
They came to the right.
Mark, look at this. And I'm talking about to the right. I'm talking
5
about
feet.
To Jamie.
Yeah.
And looking at me, just kind of looking up. And I'm like, she didn't see us. But Mark's like, ease that window down. And I was like, what are you going to do? And he's like, ease that window down.
Yeah, I'm finna shoot
I
this
eased it down. He laid that gun across my chest and I was sticking it out that window. Luckily by then she done went back down in the ditch, and she never spooked. She just
knew something was up.
She knew something was up. But
Which stand was y'all in?
We were down there in cow shit plot. That's what I call it. I don't know what you want to call it. But yeah, good. So she came up right there, like right on the stand, and wouldn't. But I mean, I think we saw them deer, but it done got too late.
Yeah, she come on out there,
but it done got too late. You couldn't see out of the scope by the time we were there, and I mean, it was, dude. That's how hunting's been here late.
Yeah.
So it was like that last night when I saw that deer. It was once again we were in that monarch, the new monarch blind over here on the pond, and I was like, man, we're great. We've had some turkeys come out early. They at the far end of the field. They fed out. pecked around. We watched them. Mark's like, which way you think the deer's coming? And I said, well, they normally, when I see them, they come from where those turkeys came from, or they come from the left. Mark was like, they always come, when I'm in here, they always come from the right there where you're at.
Guess what? They come from the right.
So I'd been looking out the window, scanning, kind of looking with my binoculars. And I was like, oh, crap. Mark, look, there's one standing right there. And she was like still in the woods, but beeline on it. I had to raise the window up to see out a little bit. So I eased it back down. You finally found her.
I found her
in the woods, and she was coming to the plot. And it was a big doe. I mean, she's probably 110.
Yeah, 110, 120.
Something like that. Pretty good sized doe. She's grown.
150. So.
Yeah. Mark said 250 after he drug her up that hill.
It felt like it.
But she come up there, and I was trying to film it because we'd done a little video. This is the first one that I guess we tried to do this year, really.
Yeah.
But it was like a doe patrol video. So we're going, and we got a little intro, and we got Mark going up the stand, and we're in the stand telling what we're going to do. And then by the time that deer had got into the plot, broke the plot, standing in that tall grass that's right over there, I get my phone out, and I got the window just right. And I was like, oh, I got it. Because she wasn't 40, 50 yards. She wasn't that far. I had my phone up, hit record, and the freaking light just comes on and shines right at her. Oh, she's just, eyes got big.
He's
probably like, put that phone down. And Mark starts freaking out, so I get the phone down, figure out how to turn that off.
Stars.
Oh, yeah.
Malcolm went from, how old are you?
I'll be 50 this year.
So you went from a 49-year-old man that's got common sense to an 80-year-old grandpa that can't operate a remote. He couldn't cut that phone off for nothing. I couldn't get it off for nothing. I finally got it back on. And when I hit record again with the flash off or the light off, it's nothing but black. Because we're in the blind and it's dark. And so the deer's already, she blew one time. Yeah.
And Mark's like, she's fixing a bolt. And I said, just shoot her. And so she's going. Was she going away? Kinda?
Yeah, she was walking.
Yeah, she went back towards the woods, and you clipped her right in the shoulder. Perfect shot. Blew the other shoulder out and ran 40, 50 yards.
40 yards.
But I'm going to let you tell about the gun. We got her. We drug her back. Got a video of dragging her back. The kill, we were not successful getting a kill shot. And you could hear the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still hear it.
Well, you got to respect a lot of people that, we grew up watching all these hunting shows, stuff like that. You never could figure out why they stopped filming, at prime time.
Yeah.
And that's why, you
can't see nothing.
You can't see nothing.
That's right.
You may see it with your eye, and it may still be legal shooting light, but you can't see nothing.
You've got 15 more minutes. Yeah. Now, I think sunset was like 5:17. So legally, you could have hunted till like 5:47.
Yeah. This was like 5:30.
5:30. I was like, oh, man, we still got plenty of light. I can see her. I can see her right there plain as day. Not the phone's blacked out.
Yeah. But that's another thing on the iPhone. The camera will absorb more light. So if you go to the camera on your iPhone, you'll be able to see it. But as soon as you go to
this drawing light.
Yeah, as soon as you go to record, it goes to that other camera, and it don't have near the, I guess, objective or whatever.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, because I can take a picture of my phone in the blind, but if you turn it on video, nope, you can't see nothing.
We need a cameraman. Anybody expert at filming hunts, y'all need to holler at us, man. We need some camera guys.
I don't know, I got a whole new respect for guys that film hunts every time or films by themselves.
If I self hunt, that's what I can't. That's a lot.
That's insane. But we'll get to that. But no, I bought me a new Ruger 350 Legend, one of the Gen 2 Americans, the ranch rifle with the 16-inch barrel.
Bolt action.
And fell in love with the gun.
What do you think about it?
It's become my favorite. I've never been a Ruger fan. I've never liked Ruger rifles. And I could not.
How's that? The 1022 is one of the best.
I like a 1022, but I don't like a Ruger bolt action.
Yeah.
Because what is the old ones that had the weird safety and they had a screwed up trigger
the side safety on it.
It was just little gimmicky stuff I didn't like. So I never really paid them much attention. And I finally got my hands on one of the new Gen 2s. And I was like, man, this is a sweet feeling rifle. It's got a lot better bolt, lightweight.
So Jody had bought the Gen 1,
yeah,
right?
The Gen 1.
That's what the first one I saw. I was like, this is an awesome little gun.
And it's a freaking tack driver. I mean, they shoot very, very well. And so anyways, I finally ordered one, finally got my hands on one because I think they're back ordered right now, matter of fact. But got it.
Find it. Sportsman?
Sportsman. Ordered it online and shipped it to the store. And it took, what did it take? About 5-7 days? It wasn't long. But anyway, so got it. And I already had a scope. I had one of the Leopolds that are made for the 350 Legend. Put it on there, got it set up. Got it sighted in and put a suppressor on it and sighted in with the suppressor and really fell in love with it then because it sounds like a 22 short going off. I mean, you don't even hear it hardly. But you forgot the most important entertaining part.
Oh yeah, that was on another deer.
Yeah.
That's where
I'll let you tell that
that's
story.
where the video needed to be taking place.
We weren't trying to film that one. We were just trying to get notch number 1 on that rifle.
So me and Malcolm have hunted with this rifle 3 times. First time we got skunked or they busted us. Second time had a field full of deer. Rifle was dead on. Everything is perfect. Great evening hunt.
Had my suppressor on the gun.
Had your suppressor on it. And
I was with it. So.
You was with it. We were perfectly legal. Put the gun out the window, got on her shoulder. Everything's good. Flipped the safety off, squeeze that trigger, and that was the loudest daggum gun I've ever shot in my life.
Blew my ears out.
Yeah, it was, face was on fire, like gunpowder. I was like, man, this is different. I've never hunted like this. Like this is.
You know what? You turned around and looked at me and said, "Was that loud?" And I'm sitting there just shell shocked, for real. Like I was right behind him in the blind. I'm like, holy crap! It wasn't like that when we were shooting on the bench.
So grabbed the gun, pulled it back in the window because it didn't look like I hit the deer, which I didn't. But
so you put it out the window, like you had to go up high and then get it out because of the suppressor. He come back in, that rifle just came right on back in
with no suppressor on it.
What happened to the suppressor that was on the end of it, Mark?
It was gone.
It shot that thing like a dart.
Yeah, so we named the gun Lawn Dart.
Lawn Dart.
It's the gun's name now. But no, the suppressor blew off.
We still don't know what happened.
Still don't. It makes 0 sense. We shot that suppressor all day the day before.
At least a box of shells through it on 2 different rifles.
2 different rifles. Like the suppressor is on. I mean, it's
ASR mounts. Everything was
like everything was.
lined
the
up.
boxes were checked.
Yeah.
And that's something like something wasn't jiving, but we don't know what it is. I mean, I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but I'm no idiot. I know, like, when you're screwing something on in the barrel, you make sure it's seated and it's correct. I mean, because things like that can happen. So I don't know. I can't explain it.
So what happened was a baffle strike.
Yeah, baffle strike.
So I'm going to try to send it back and see what that's going to cost to fix.
Didn't hurt the gun. Really didn't hurt the suppressor. It nicked one of the baffles and cracked the end plate just a little.
Yeah, that was all it did to it.
Yeah.
It didn't mess up. What amazed me, so this was on an ASR mount with the hub lock, and it blew off the barrel threads. It didn't foul any threads that I can tell.
It's not a scratch on nothing.
Yeah. There's a little dirt in it because it was stuck in the ground.
Yeah, it was literally 70.
It went to the ground about 3 inches.
It was close. The suppressor was definitely closer to hitting the deer than the bullet was.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
So I was watching. I was right behind you, like over your shoulder with binoculars. I was like, I'm going to see where he hits this deer, because you never know which way they're going to go, if he made a good hit or what. Oh, I about dropped my binoculars when he shot.
Oh, it
rung my head so
freaking
bad.
loud.
Yeah. And the suppressor was 3/4 of the way to the deer, and the deer was probably 100 yards down the field. I was like, Mark, can you see it out the window? Look down. Maybe it just fell off. No. It
didn't fall off.
Yeah.
But it still don't add up. Don't make sense because I don't know.
So if you've had a suppressor failure, let us know. I want to know what your experience was with it.
Or how to correct it.
Yeah, how to correct it.
Well, like I understand.
I talked to the guy at the gun shop. Battle told me, he's like, man, look, we put a rod on all of them when we install them. You just got to make sure they're seated right. When you've got it all perfect, there's still a chance that it can happen.
Yeah.
So it could be the ammo. Could have been a bad bullet.
It could have been a bad bullet or something like that. It come out of the barrel funky or something.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things it could have been, I guess. But
and plus, we were shooting. What was that size of that suppressor?
it was
a 350 Legend was as big as you could shoot through it.
Yeah.
So we were on the upper tolerance.
But it's rated for fully auto too. I
Yeah.
mean, it's as good as a suppressor.
But who knows?
It's not some cheap budget suppressor.
No.
It was a high end suppressor.
But fell in love with the gun. The Ruger American Gen 2 is a flat tack driver. I mean, it shoots excellent.
Killed your first deer with it last night.
Killed the first deer with it. I changed some bullets.
Yeah, what were you? Because we've been shooting those Winchester Deer Seasons,
and I've had good luck with them. Jamie did not have good luck with it.
That was, I'm not 100% on it was a gun or ammunition's fault as much as it was mine. I rushed my shot, but as close as it was, I'm 99.9% sure that bullet did not go all the way through. Even though I kind of hit a high shoulder, it should have went all the way through.
Yeah.
It didn't.
I've never had an issue with the Winchester XPs. Never. I mean,
I'm shooting
You're shooting the 180.
180, which is kind of a blunt point versus a pointed point, I guess you'd say. But I am going to change and see what it does.
Jody, he shot 2 does with it, with his 350 Legend last week, and got both of them. They didn't run 15, 20 yards, but he said, man, it wasn't that much of a blood trail. But I had ordered some Bear Creek Ballistics, 140 grain 350 Legend, and they're solid copper bullets, which I'm not a big fan of, but I was going to give them a shot. They done a number. They flat smoked that doe. Did not hit shoulder blade, hit ribs. So it wasn't a ton of bone to really do a lot of damage, but you could put your fist through the exit hole.
Like busted 3 ribs.
Yeah, busted 3 ribs. Entry hole was good. Blood trail was good. Even though it was a little high, lungs were gone. And I mean, it was an easy deer to track. Wasn't nothing to it.
See, I talked to a buddy of mine yesterday, matter of fact, and he shoots 350 Legend when he goes to Illinois, and he said he's killed his deer and found his deer, but he said none of them left a blood trail that he was real comfortable with if it would have been like a bigger deer or something like that. But,
which, I mean, that's a known thing with the slower moving bullet. You watch all these YouTube videos where they're shooting ballistic gel. It's not a huge wound cavity. It's a small bullet. I mean, it's light caliber. It's not a 300 mag, but they'll flat kill. Now they're good.
So I don't know if I would shoot a big buck with one. I'd be so hesitant.
That's the thing. The one I shot that was a good one.
I mean, does all day long. I've killed several does with the 350 Legend and felt good about it. Dropped them in their tracks. Most of them hadn't, even one that ran was 30 yards, maybe Mikey's furthest. We were sitting at crossroads, but most of them dropped. But man, can you imagine, especially if you're like in a state like Illinois or one of these big states where they, the deer, the bucks are 250 pound plus. I mean, you're shooting a big animal with that bullet. Would you feel confident shooting it?
It's been a lot of deer killed with the 30-30.
Yeah.
And this is stouter than the 30-30.
Shooting one with it, because, I mean, hell, if I didn't, I probably wouldn't even take it.
Yeah. I mean, I do. I trust it. Yes, it's a light round. No, I'm not going to shoot no monster buck at 300 yards with it.
Yeah.
But 200 yard and in, I won't bat an eye. It's a perfect gun for
let
that.
it roll.
Yeah. I mean, I watched Deer Meat for Dinner last night. He had a video. I guess he got the Tika 350 Legend. That was a sweet looking gun. But he shot it was 170, 160 inch big. I think typical 11 point. It had stickers. I think it was total 16 points. And he killed it on their farm and
with the 350
and dropped it. I mean, it was an absolute giant. So they'll definitely do it. But regardless, you still got to do your job. You got to hit them where you need to hit them.
Yeah.
No, you shoot them in the hindquarters, probably not going to be a good day, but
gut shot.
You hit them where you shoot them, or hit them where you're supposed to, you'll be fine.
So, Jamie, what was your story shooting one? Tell us about the buck you chased.
Oh, man.
He don't want to tell the story.
Depressing, I ain't going to lie. The last deer I shot and did not find was back in 2004. And anyway, I'm hunting my dad's stand. Hadn't hunted there all year, so he hadn't seen this deer. The guy that hunts with him some hadn't seen it, and sitting there, it was probably 7:30, 7:45. Seen a real good doe dropped off the hill. It was probably about 50, 60 yards. And I was like, man, I really don't want to shoot a doe this early. Looked up behind her, and it was definitely a shooter buck behind her. And I'd say, I think it'll go 18 inches wide pretty easy.
I know it'll go more.
Because anyway,
I've seen a real good picture of it, and it's definitely it's a good deer.
I
got too cocky and I say not cocky. I got too confident. I was already visualizing, man, I'm finna drop this deer in this track. And I did, things happen so fast, and it was fist and run chasing doe. After I got back in the stand, the next time I went back up there and looked, and I'm like, man, I really don't I shouldn't even took the shot I took, but it wasn't about a 2 foot opening through some brush. And I shot, I heard the bullet hit it. I knew I hit it. I seen it hold its leg up, and it stopped. And I was like, well, it had its tail, it was flickering its tail, and it's just going to fall over. Well, it turned, and I'm like, well, I don't guess it is. So I put another round in it, and it bedded down right there for 5 minutes probably. And it was directly to the sun, directly behind me, and it was a big treetop, a cedar treetop that fell over in between me and him. And I just, in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's supposed to just lay here and bleed out. Well, needless to say, it did not.
So did you get down immediately, or did you sit there?
No, I sat there for 2 hours. Well, once the deer got up and went off, and the way it was perfectly in line with this blowed over cedar tree, and I could not see it going away until it was out 100 plus yards before I seen it again. I I got down and walked over it. It was real good blood. So I got back up the stand, talked to Mark, and he said him and Mikey was down here. They was going to come up and help me. So I sat there probably, 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
We gave the deer plenty of time.
And I got down, no problem to blood trail it. It probably went, 200 yards and then made a 90-degree turn to the right. And it's probably 4 or 5 acres at least out there that's flooded right now, straight to the water. I tracked it 50, 60 yards, blood across the water, no problem at all. Well, Mikey and Mark got there then. We probably, tracked it another. Mikey found several spots of blood.
Yeah. I tracked it to the last blood I found was in the water where it crossed a log, and it was literally just a little piece of meat. Not blood, wasn't wet. It was just meat. And I was like, man, that looks to me, because it was meat. And I take it back. It was meat and white hair.
Like leg meat?
I think it was brisket. I think it was up here in the front.
High shoulder forward, I think.
Yeah. And it wasn't bloody, but what concerned me that I never seen, and anybody listening, please voice your opinion, is some of the blood that was in the water that was like on the edge where it was leaves and it wasn't real deep and you could see the blood good. When you would pull the leaves up, like to look at the blood, it looked like bubbles. And I was like, oh man, that's got lung or something. That's got an airway. But I mean, once you got out of the water, you didn't see that. Mm-hmm. And
was it bright red?
All the blood going to the water
was the one that hit that water and diluted it.
Yeah, like you couldn't tell really in the water. But I mean, up until that point, blood trail was great. I would say 100 yards of just easy to track, no problem, good blood trail.
And so we looked probably 2 or 3 hours. And he was like, it's not going to happen. So I went back to the house. Anyway, I got talking to my cousin or my cousin's son rather, and he said he knew a guy that had a drone. I'm like, never fooled with the drone. I've always watched it. I've always been interested in it. So we'll try it. Brought the drone out within probably 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
He found, he went to ask me questions, like how wide I think it was, what side to shoot it on. He's like, found your deer. And we could see it bedded down. You could see blood beside it. It was laying on its left side, which is what I shot. And it was licking its left side. And it was obvious. It was a pool of blood right there, by the side of the paper plate, right under
what it looked like on the drone.
Yeah.
Once we got there and found it the next day, I wouldn't say it was that much blood there, but it was a little.
Found the spot.
Yeah. He dropped a pin. I didn't want a chance bumping him out that night because there was no way to sneak up on it, just between the water and the cutover. And so we went. I got the good Hoggard clan out with us, and we went back the next day and went. It took us a minute.
To find
exactly where it was at, and it was blood there and blood going both directions, probably 30 yards, 40 yards.
But by this point, the blood was real watery.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't blood, mm-hmm. And
it was trying to clot up.
Yeah, like it was healed. And I tracked it maybe 10 or 15 yards in that thicket, and it got to where it was just nothing, but you could see it to where it'd be a drop of blood, and then right in front of it would look like just a drop of water.
It was. Blood would literally just run right off a leaf, like it was wet. But so
I don't think the deer's hurt. I don't think it's killed by no means. I think the deer's still up there walking around.
Might be missing a leg.
Yeah,
no, I didn't. It was high leg. If it was high shoulder, it wasn't low.
You can shoot a leg off of one and it'll survive. It's gonna suck, but it'll survive as long as coyotes don't catch it. But.
And if you say, you're going to have people, I can see it now, oh, y'all didn't do what y'all supposed to. Dude, if you ain't done this in your hunting life, you ain't hunted enough.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
The only thing I would have, granted, I screwed up and it's my fault. But as far as locating deer, if I had to do it all over again, I probably would have called the local guy, Chad Myers. And I believe his dogs, from what I hear about his dogs, what I've seen about his dogs, that deer slows down, they're going to catch it. He's got some really, really good dogs, but hindsight, I
think we've done everything right because we could have went in there and tried to shoot that deer. And to me, that's not right. To me, you got to play your cards right and ethical when it comes to this, in my opinion. And I think we done everything 100% right. We couldn't have done anything any better.
When you're talking about cutover, we ain't talking about normal cutover. We're talking about briars. You got to turn sideways and crawl through like a damn
it ain't
so it wasn't like
it was cut over
grass, and you can see for it was way over your head. It's been cut over for 8 years? 10 years?
And then plus
tornado went through there too. It is
it's gnarly.
It's gnarly. It's nasty.
Well, Mikey at one point in time was on one side of the little ditch, and I was on the other, and he was talking, and we both had orange vest on, and we
hear one another, but you couldn't see one another.
See each other.
Oh, when we went in there that next morning, me and you got on our hands and knees and crawled to where that deer was at. Like, it was that thick.
Have you went back in there and tried to hunt it since then?
On this side of the water hole, I've not crossed the water yet, but I got 3 cameras out, and I got a 10-day mission left.
Yeah. So you're still after that deer.
I mean, I want to at least see it on, whether it's dead or alive. I want to find it, at least give it some type of justice, being I screwed the whole situation up.
But the upside, you killed you a buck before that one, right?
Yeah, I broke the 4-year streak.
So go ahead and tell us that story before we get to Mikey's.
Actually, I was kind of the same deal. I was supposed to carry a guy hunting, and anyway, he works night shift at FedEx, and he ended up oversleeping, and I went up there and I'm the luckiest person if I just go and randomly climb a tree. And that's exactly where I wanted to go, was underwater, and all I had was my just lace up boots. So I'm like, yeah, I ain't getting my feet wet. So I just randomly go climb a tree, and I hadn't been there 2 hours, 3 hours probably. And my dad sent me a message, wondering if I seen anything. And I texted him back, and as soon as I put my phone in my pocket, I'm looking like, well, that dark spot, I know good and well hadn't been there all morning. And got my binoculars up, and it was a pretty decent deer. It's probably 16 inches wide, and it was quartering away real hard. I'm like, man, I ain't gonna take that shot, because I'm either gonna gut shoot it. I just didn't feel comfortable with the shot, the way the position the deer was standing. So then I'm like, well, crap. This morning shot. Well, then it wasn't. Probably 10, 15 minutes later, Keaton got me using this nose jammer.
Yeah.
And I really, really believe that stuff works. It was, yeah. So it was a doe. I could see her walking, and she kind of made like a light blow, and she was spooked, but she wasn't, I don't guess she knew what I was or whatever. Well, she come around kind of behind me, and I could see horns going through the cutover. Well, then just like disappeared. Well, then look, where I originally had seen the deer, he done backtracked out, and he was coming down a skidder road trying to cut her off. And I had my daughter 708, and first deer killed with that gun, and my 4-year streak is broke.
How far did he run?
Dropped. I hit him high. He didn't go nowhere.
Yeah, that's a good one then. So that's been 4 years. That's congratulations.
Dry spell.
Been on a Buck Junkies podcast. I ain't never killed a deer.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. So Mikey, you had pretty good buck hunt, you and Will, right?
Yeah, I think I've talked about this.
Did we talk about this one last week?
I think we talked about it before, but yeah, I mean,
it ain't fair us talking about them and you ain't getting talked, so you can tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so anyways, me and Will, we generally come down here on Tuesdays and Fridays, using our work days at camp. We come down here almost every Friday, maybe not every Tuesday because we're usually doing this and some other things, but anyways, this Friday, we didn't really have a whole lot to do. Everything is farm-wise was pretty much done, so we cleaned up the shop, built some racks and pressure washed some tractors and stuff, got them cleaned up, and some of the equipment, stuff like that, got it cleaned up real good. Well, we had a little bit we got through. Well, it was about 2:30 in the afternoon anyway, so I was like, well, shoot, we're going to go to the stand instead of going to the house. We got a little bit of time. We're already down here. So anyways, we put on all our stuff, and we take off to the stand, and it's rut. I mean, it's, bucks are chasing does at this time. And earlier that day, we had went over to cut some, widen those lanes out is what it was. No, I'm sorry. Let me back up. That wasn't what we done. I forget what I was on the tractor for. We went over there for something and seen a buck run a doe past the tractor and run through the ditch and come out. Well, later on that day, I told him, that buck's still over there, surely, in the area because it's a hot doe in the area. I said, she's in there. I want to be in there. So we're going to go hunt this evening, and if you want to go back home, you can. So we go to the stand, and I put him over there where I seen the doe go. Everybody knows, if a hot doe comes through there, it doesn't matter. I mean,
it's going to stay smelly.
Buck, yeah, it's still stinking going through there. So I put him over kind of close to where the closest stand to where she had went through at. And anyways, I told him just, keep an eye out because she comes through, they're going to come through fast, and you're hunting in a stand where it's
shoot. You better be quick.
You got to be, you ain't got much time there, so you got to make a judgment call pretty quick. And anyway, so I go to our plantation stand, which is one of the bigger fields. When I get there, there's already does in the field, so I sneak into the stand. It takes me about 15 minutes to go about 15 yards to get in the daggum stand, and I I finally get in it, don't spook the deer out, and I'm sitting there. Well, by this time, it's like 3:30. And I'm sitting there messing with my phone, just kind of watching these does and, getting a little footage of the does and stuff like that. And was answering a few texts and some emails while I was in the stand. And I just happened to look up and see this deer in the woods, kind of moving fast, moving back and forth. I said, well, hell, I know I see horns on it, but I can't tell how big it was. Well, he comes out and he's broadside to me. And I was like, he's a nice buck, but I don't know if I'm going to shoot him or not. And then he turned and he looked at me and stuck his head and he started lip curling, trying to smell them does. And he was wide. And I was like, well, darn, he's got a pretty daggone good spread. And then I realized it was that older buck that you had sent me a picture of and told me, if y'all see this deer, kill this deer. And I said, well, that's him. What's the odds of that?
Yeah.
So anyways, went ahead and I popped him and he tears out and runs down the cornfield. Well, I'm kind of wound up because, I'm like Jamie, I hadn't shot I've killed a bunch of deer, but I hadn't shot a buck in 8 years.
Yeah, that's a good deer.
I hadn't shot one since Wheels started deer hunting.
That deer had the tallest brow tines on the property.
And probably the biggest spread.
Yeah.
So anyways, I shoot this deer and I got a little wound up then, I kind of got to shaking a little bit and I was like, doggone, man, I ain't felt like that in a long time, and I guess it just happened so fast. And usually I get the buck fever before, but this was the first time I've ever got it where it shook me up afterwards.
Yeah.
Like I done made the shot, didn't even get shook. And the deer runs off and it goes down and I look back and I reach to get my phone and I can't hardly grab hold of my phone. I'm like, what in the world is wrong with my hand?
So shakes come back, didn't they?
They
never left. It just took the right buck to get it on.
And so then I got it and I called a buddy of mine. He had texted me. He was getting off work and he was like, hey, do you want to watch the ball game? So I called him in the stand and I was trying to talk. And my voice was all broke up. And I was trying to tell you, I was like, man, so I just shot a buck and ain't killed one in like 8 years, and just letting them go for the kids or whatever and somebody else shoot. But anyways, I was like, man, I'm shook up. Let me call you back. Hell, I sound like I'm about to start crying here.
You was giving thanks. You was giving thanks and everything, wasn't it? It's like, man, that's what.
Oh, it had me shook up bad, man. I was like, doggone. Anyways.
But if you ever lose that, it ain't no point in hunting.
Yeah, that's right.
So, anyways, I seen the deer go down in the corn. He ran, straight down the corn rows, and I seen him fall over there in the edge of the corn. And, anyways, I text Will and told him, "Hey, bud, just shot a nice buck." And he asked, "Was it the one from this morning?" And I was like, or noon today, and I was like, "No, it wasn't him. It was a different one." So, anyways, I get down and I told him, I said, "I'm gonna ease over here and just look at him real quick, and then I'm gonna get back in the stand." And I said, keep your eyes peeled because they're, the does that it was in the field. I don't know if one of them was hot or not, but they took off back towards you. And I get out, I go look at the buck, and I come back to the stand, get back up in the stand. And anyways, took a picture of him, made sure, kind of compared it to the picture you had sent me. And I was like, well, that's him. And anyway, so I get back in the stand, and it's still kind of early. And I sit up there probably about 45 more minutes, and Will's he's to the northwest of me. And off this far left turkey foot, I look over, and I see this buck step out of the corn. And he stops right at the edge of the field, and he's kind of doing the same thing. He's got his head in the air, and he's kind of moving his horns around. And I was like, darn, there's that buck from this morning. Well, he goes up in the woods, and I get the binoculars on him and look at him, and I was like, that's a nice buck. That's a really good buck. He's bigger than the one that I just shot. Not as wide, but he's bigger. Mm-hmm. So I text Will, and I was like, hey, there's another buck headed to you. I said, if he's headed in the direction of that other property across that fence, he's a good buck. You can shoot him anyways, but definitely shoot him if he's going that direction.
Because they going to kill him.
Yeah, because they going to get him. There's probably somebody sitting in that stand now.
Yeah, right
he
now.
He crosses over that ditch and pops up in that bean field over there. They're going to pop him. So you might as well go ahead and get him because he's a nice one. He's bigger than, any deer you've ever killed.
Yeah, yeah.
And anyways, it wasn't very long, man. I heard boom, and he had shot. And
then you went to shake him again.
Yeah. Oh, I like toward the stand part. Yeah, when he
was
shot,
you texting him like immediately on the phone?
Like, did you get him? Tell me you got him. But Will had, and I've skipped this part, but Will had gotten in the stand at about the same time I seen my buck. He seen a huge 10-point with his naked eye, and he had already told me he was already shook up, and he couldn't get a shot at the deer. It went through kind of fast, and it stopped in a thicket, and he didn't want to take the shot, and he let it go, thinking it would come back by. And I didn't know which deer he had killed. I was like, well, either one of them is, I don't know how much bigger that other one was. He said it was really a lot bigger once I got over there. But Anyway, so I get over it to him. He's kind of sitting there and he's a little down.
He's done got down, got on the deer.
Yeah, he didn't got down, got on the deer. He said, I got him, Daddy. And I was like, all right. So I jumped down really fast. And I didn't even get on the four-wheeler. I just ran to him. You know, I cut the woods in half and come up behind the stand. And I walked up, checked the stand, and he wasn't in it. And I looked, and I seen him out there on the edge of the road, you know. So I slid down the hill and went to him. And anyways, we walked over and found him. And when I was walking up to the deer, I seen it. It was a nice 8-point. But he wasn't down.
But that ain't the one he wanted.
Was a disappointment. Yeah, because he was like, I said, that's the biggest deer you ever killed, son. That's a really nice buck.
You got to be fired up.
Nice. Yeah. And I said, you not fired up? And he was like, yeah, but Daddy, that ain't nowhere near the deer that came through here.
That he saw.
I was like, I get it, son. I get it. But sometimes you just got to take what you get.
But that's drive to keep on hunting, because I don't think anybody's killed that deer. Mm-hmm. He's still around, but we ain't seen him.
He's elusive.
He's very elusive. They don't get that way. They don't get that big being seen too much.
That same feeling Mikey got, that's what I get when I carry you hunting.
Is it?
I sit in my stand and Malcom always shoots.
Well, so I was going out of town and doing some traveling. I got to go to Texas and hunt, and I got to go up to North Dakota and hunt. There's a bison video on that if y'all want to check it out. I think I know it's on our YouTube page, and we're probably going to get it on all the platforms. You can find it on Facebook too. I think, Mark, you linked to it on Swine. But before those trips, I knew I was going to miss the rut. Like, it was right after Thanksgiving, and they were starting to, the little bucks were starting to mess with those and push them a little bit, but we hadn't seen any big ones. And so Jamie came down one morning. I think it was just me and you hunting, wasn't it? Yeah. And I said, Jamie, I got to kill me a buck. Like, and he's like, where you want to go? And I think that was the day. So Jamie had been hunting the same stand Will killed his buck out of. Now Will killed it back in the rut, so it was a few weeks later.
Yeah.
But early season, Jamie had been hunting that stand.
Yeah,
you'd seen, I don't know how many bucks you've seen out of that stand.
I'm pretty sure the one that Will killed, I saw.
Probably the one I killed, you saw.
And the one you killed, I saw three bucks out of that stand,
but couldn't get a shot on.
All three of them were good deer.
Yeah. But see, what the deal is, we call this stand Heartbreak for a reason. Because it's a lane. There's one little plot that they don't mess with, but they cross coming out of a big ditch, going through the pine, filtering back around up a ridge. And you ain't got but a split second. I mean, they got to stop.
Yeah.
And they never would stop for Jamie. Well, that morning he came, and this was like the 2 or 3 days before I was leaving out of town. I said, all right, Jamie, I'm going to that stand.
Yeah, I was already like, all right, they ain't going to mess up this time. I'm going to kill them.
You can go anywhere you want, but I'm going to Heartbreak. And I said, I ain't hunted it yet this year. And sure enough, we get up there. I'm texting Jamie. I think you'd seen a doe or something.
Yeah, I seen a couple of does come through a small buck.
Little buck. And I said, I hadn't seen nothing yet. And then there he come. A jerker stud. He walked out. I mean, he was right on the edge of those pines and stopped. And I had time to look at it. He wasn't the big deer that I wanted, because I was wanting that big one that Will was after too. But he was a big 9-point. I mean, I don't know if he was as big as yours or Will's, but he's a good sized buck. It was one that I'm proud of him. So he's at the taxidermist right now. But that's the only buck I've shot this year. And
you know what? Those. This is the first year that all of y'all, including Waylen, have killed big deer.
And you hadn't.
I've seen some good bucks, but I ain't even put the crosshairs on a buck this year. We still got time.
We hadn't even talked about Waylen's deer.
No,
that's an absolute giant.
So that was old basket. And I hope you still got some pictures where we could go back.
I do.
And find his early. We've been seeing this deer for 3 years easy, and he was probably 2 when
this year.
Yeah, he was at least 5 years old, at least. He's a mature buck. He disappeared after velvet season last year.
I had one picture.
The year before, I thought somebody killed him the year before. So we had just very few pictures of him.
I got one picture of him during deer season. It was at night.
Yeah.
He was in plantation field, and he walked by that camera, and it was only one time, and after that, he was completely
I think gone. I got one of him at Crossroads in daylight.
With your phone, or like
on the trail cam? I seen him in person at plantation. Last year.
Yeah. So you're the only one saw him in stand then.
We see that whole week. I think you might have been out of town. Mikey'd been hunting his butt off, so he kind of took a little break, or you and Melissa was out of town. Wasn't nobody down here, and I come down here like 3 or 4 days in a row.
By your solo.
Yeah. And that's kind of my mission, was because that deer been popping up on camera, and he'd been staying longer on camera.
And he showed up in daylight, and I was like, ooh.
And
yeah, when we got that daylight shot, that's when we said we got him.
And
we're going to kill him this week. And it was
Darren invited me to Hardin Point
to go.
I went with Darren and I called you. I'm like, have you looked at cameras? You said no. And I'm like, go to that stand tomorrow. This deer finna screw up.
Yep.
And he screwed up. And I guess I screwed up too by going Hardin Point.
See, I was supposed to be at Hardin Point too, but my brother-in-law was in town. And so I had family obligations, and then he wanted to hunt, and then Waylen wanted to hunt. So I said, all right, we're going to cover every stand over there. That deer's over there. If we can slip in without blowing him out, somebody's going to get a shot at killing him. And sure enough, I was in Plantation where you killed your buck.
Well, I'd already called.
Michael was on the north line. I think brother-in-law was in Heartbreak, and Waylen was in Crossroads. And that's where he came. Waylen said like clockwork. He'd come down that hill right at the road, coming right to the stand, stop, turn, and smoked it.
Yeah, I already called it. I showed a picture of Darren. I'm like, this deer fit to screw up. And I said, I know exactly what's going to happen. Malcom's going to go hunt Plantation. Wayland's going to hunt Crossroads. And I said, it's going to come to Crossroads. I said, I bet money Wayland ended up killing this deer. And it wasn't a couple hours later.
I sent you the
picture.
Yeah. Because I was in Alabama with Jody at their hunting club. And I seen the same picture. It's standing out there, broad daylight. And I was like,
it was New Year's Eve, wasn't it? Or was it 30th or 31st? I can't remember.
He killed it before New Year's.
Yeah, it was the 31st, I think.
Right,
I think
it
was New Year's Eve night.
The deer I killed was New Year's Day.
Yeah. Maybe it was the 30th. I had to go back and look at my camera to see the date stamp. But I know, so Waylen, my brother hadn't shot a deer. He hadn't shot at, he shot at some, but he hadn't killed one since 5 years probably? Because he killed that one over here.
That was the first year we had this property.
Yeah, it was the very first year. So that might have been 7 years ago.
That would have been in 17.
So he was due, but he's been bad to shoot that Jam-O-Matic and just rain bullets on him and miss them. But he, what was he? He's shooting a Browning now.
Browning A-bolt.
Alt 6, yeah. Mm-hmm. And he put the smack.
Or X-bolt,
but he texts me. He's like, I shot him. I said, well, can you see him? Is he down? Did you get him? He's like, I think I missed.
Oh, no.
And then he said, I'm going to get down and go see. And so he just left us hanging. I said, all right, well, I'm going to finish hunting. It wasn't quite time to get down.
I couldn't have. I'd have tore out. Like, let's go.
Well, he gets over there and he texts me back. He's like, it's a daggum 4-point. And he let us think that till we got over there. Because he was already up in the woods. Like, he done went, it didn't go too far, but it didn't go 30 yards either. But he'd already kind of pulled it back to the road. And I was like, oh, when I saw it, you can't miss that deer. The horns for days on it.
I didn't get a chance to see it.
It ended up being 100. Well, this was like a raw score. It was like 156 and an eighth. And we scored at 155.
But you also have to understand, would it probably have a 14-inch spread?
It wouldn't. That's why we caught him basket.
Yeah, he wouldn't. This is all time length.
Spread. It was all mass and time length. He's a monster. That's the biggest one since we've been hunting that property that now there was a neighbor across the way killed a 170 last
174.
year. That was a monster. This deer had to be some kin to that deer. And the bad thing about it was all the neighbors had pictures of this.
Oh, it was so many feelings hurt when they found out about that.
So many people was hunting that deer. Nobody passed on him.
No.
That wasn't one you let pass.
No. It was getting got.
That was a mature buck. He's a sure enough trophy. So
I never seen him. I seen him hanging in the walk-in. I come down here and I was like, I hope he's still in there. And I poked my head in there. And y'all had him over a bucket and his head was kind of tilted back. And his G2s was touching his hind quarter. Like when he had his head back, that's how tall those tines are. Mm-hmm. And it was an absolute giant. But
he wasn't that heavy. He was rutted down. I think he weighed 180 pounds.
Yeah. And I figured that deer would be 220.
Oh, I figured he was 20.
We killed all the big bucks, so it's going to take at least 3 years for this to
before they kill any more bucks. We've got actually was thinking tell everybody we killed. There ain't no more big bucks around here. No more big bucks.
Y'all will be on doe patrol next year. Y'all can't kill a buck next year. Y'all got to let us bottom feeders.
Got to give you a chance. We saw a big one yesterday down on that new property you're looking at.
Man, did we?
Dude, that jugger way outside his
I didn't mention that.
I've already heard. I talked to the landowner yesterday.
Yeah, he didn't want us to really pay much attention to it. But that was
look at that one.
Pretty good deer.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of other things on there the landowner don't know we've seen too. So, but
yeah, there might be a little.
There's some
reason to go down here in about 7 weeks.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and get that deal closed.
Yeah, probably won't close the deal, but
you need to close. You need to get that closed for March 15th.
Yeah, it'll be after the fact.
No, well, Jamie, we had a pretty awesome weekend last weekend too.
That was definitely a good time.
So y'all have heard Jamie talk about hunting with the Arca Butler Physically Challenge and the Hope Outdoors, and I've always been down there and gone and helped around the camp and cooked. That was my thing, because I'm gonna be 100% honest. I've always got nervous because I always want to help people, but in situations I get nervous, feel like I'm gonna do something wrong. And this weekend I kind of had the opportunity to like get over that fear, I guess. So me and Jamie actually carried Keith, which is heck Jamie's best hunting buddy right there.
Man, that guy is Keith is a guy from Texarkana. He's got a nerve disease that starts with your voice, moves through your body, and is
pretty aggressive.
And his legs, his ankle sitting in that track chair made my feet hurt. I mean, and he's a stout, very, 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 very determined person. He's not going to let you hardly help him no more than you got to.
I guess the easiest way to describe it would be Keith is stout as a bull. Like, he just can't control it. So, like, if you take his hand and put it on a grab hand on the side by side, that man can pick himself up. I mean, he's going to get in there. You know, he's stout as a bull. He can't control it. But it was very, very humbling. It hit home. You know, it's pretty cool.
Oh, that joker, he'll say some stuff that his word phrasing and stuff like that. It'll keep you laughing. It's never a dull moment. But
so set up that hunt. He came out here to.
Yeah, his parents brought him to. I met him at Arca Butler, picked him up. We went back to the Hope Outdoors, met with them, got him signed all in, got everything good to go on that, and then we left that afternoon hunting. And me and Brad had previously put a ground blind out, and me and Mark carried him out Friday afternoon. And
so the plan was to hunt like a Friday evening and then all day Saturday.
Yep. Yeah. And deer have been. Mark plot's been hot.
You could have told me that was a guarantee, because we've had deer on camera every day at 5 o'clock for probably 10 days straight.
Yep.
I was like, this is a guarantee.
And
we got
what happened? The wind switched on.
The wind picked up, and it was probably 15, 20 mile an hour wind.
It was whooping.
It was the ground blind was barely staying on the ground, and we sat there and we hunted to like dark. I mean, I'm talking about it was like you couldn't. I mean, it was like that was it. It was time to get down, and nothing. We just saw. I thought us squirrels all I saw, I guess, that day.
Yeah,
and then went back to the Hope Outdoors deal that night and had a meal. I ended up just staying with him that night, and Saturday morning, Brad's guy, he was going to carry out. He's had a little bit of medical stuff going on, and he said, I'm just not going to make it in the morning. So Brad came with me. Mark went and hunted. Me and Brad carried Keith out to the pond stand. Same thing. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's a dead deer. We going to kill it.
Same thing. Pond stand been on fire all week.
We going to kill a deer. Ain't no doubt. Sit there it's probably about 9:30 or 10. You got down, come back to camp, cook breakfast. And we sit there to 10:30, I guess.
Yeah.
Nothing. I'm talking herd turkeys. That's it. Nothing. So I'm like,
is that where y'all sent that turkey video?
I was in mud hole and they were in pond and they were between us.
Oh, we got to get a clip of that out there. Mikey, have you heard it yet?
Dude, them
turkeys were cut.
Man, they sounded so good.
It sounded so good. Yeah.
And I'm wanting to make this happen so bad. So I'm like, I'm starting to feel pressure. I'm like, it's been 2 times out. We should have done
at least seen something.
Yeah.
Spike or something.
Yeah. We should have done fired a shot by now. So anyway, come back to camp, ate. Keith had never had a full on breakfast like Mark.
Oh, I heard him.
Oh, Mark done him up.
Man, we melted cheese, big old thing of gravy,
biscuits,
bacon, sausage, eggs. I mean, it was a spread,
full deal.
Oh man, it was good.
Man, you gonna run it for all the other people. They're gonna come hunt with you, Jamie.
We're gonna have a wait list next year.
A wait list of guys. We want Jamie to guide. They don't care about seeing deer.
So, actually, what happened? We got Keith on the deer.
I was wondering how far you gonna let me tell this story.
Yeah, so Mark had been looking at this property and
fairly close by.
Yeah,
side by side route.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes down the road on side by side.
It was 12 o'clock, and that's probably about 12:30, I guess. Anyway, so we decided to load up in side by side, and Mark's like, "Hey, let's go over and just look at that property." I'm like, "Well, I'm not going. Darren's one of my best
We know
friends.
the landowner very well.
I'm not going without carrying a firearm.
Just in case.
So we get over there, open the gate, pull in, see a couple of deer and a small buck on the left side, break out running. Pull up on the hill, look down, there's probably, 9 or 10 deer.
Yeah.
All of them break out running but 2. I was sitting there, I told Mark's like, that's still 2 deer standing there, ain't it? Mark's like, yeah.
Like, I could see them feeding, and Jamie's like, no, that's brush, because they ain't moved, and they didn't move for 5 minutes.
And they look like black. I mean, it was like dark color. And they're, so we're sitting there, we're looking, Mark's like, I see it flicking its tail. I'm like, it's a a mature doe. And
it's about lunchtime too, right?
Yeah,
Midday.
Middle of the day.
And, so, man, I know Darren won't care, but I want to make sure. So I'm trying to text him. Of course, he's a hard point. I barely have service down there. He don't have any service.
There's no service. That's a bad thing.
And I'm over there, put the gun in the tripod, shoot this deer.
Ask for forgiveness later.
Yes.
So we got Keith out and got him on the deer. And he said, how far is it? Mark ranged it. It was like 178 yards.
170.
And
had he ever shot that far? I mean,
probably.
Oh, really?
He probably shot at that far. And so we got the gun set up in tripod, got Keith set up. And I was like, Keith's like, I'm gonna have to edit the words, but he said, I'm finna drop her like shows me rent money. I'm like, I was like,
that ain't an exact quote, but that's about as PG as you can do it.
I was like, so I'm sitting there, Mark's still looking binocular, and the whole time my phone's ringing, Mark's phone ringing. It's Darren trying to get a hope to us. And Mark's like, man, we're gonna ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, pull that trigger.
And it's done closed in a couple of yards by then, and Mark's watching. And so I'm holding the tripod, trying to help. Like I said, Keith does shake a little bit, so I'm holding the tripod real good.
I'm gonna say something right there. That bog pod
hands
with the
down.
death grip.
So
the best thing
I love
going.
using it, but if you got a kid,
yes,
or somebody that can't hold
physically
still,
challenged,
somebody that's physically challenged, that is a game changer. And I mean, there's a
gun clamped in it.
Yeah,
and it's at shoulder level, eye level, or whatever. Ground blind is perfectly level with them, and it don't move. You can,
and it's no recoil. It's like shooting out of a lead sled.
So getting Keith in this position, he's kind of awkward. So I'm looking, and he's shooting my 300 short mag, and the butt's not on his shoulder. And I'm like, man, so I'm trying to, and I know I got the gun clamped in there good. So I'm trying to hold the tripod just to make sure that he's steady. And Mark's like, all right, broadside, pull the trigger. And he shot, and that doe jumped
10 foot.
Yeah, it jumped in the air.
Yeah. Oh, he put the smack on her. It was no doubt. He made a heck of a shot.
I told you. And me and Mark's like, it could have been a 200-inch deer. Me and Mark wouldn't have been no more pumped than what we were. Anyway, so the yearling's still standing there, and Keith's like, you may get her too. And I'm like,
oh, he was ready to bolt the gun.
Oh, he's a killer now.
I was like, we done pushed our luck. I was like, let's go with what we got. And dude, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Oh, I guarantee he's got bruises on his back, because when that deer folded up, I was just smacking him. I was like, heck yeah, like that's what I'm talking about. Let's go.
So we get back, and we're like, all right, let's, Keith's in Texarkana, so let's go ahead and usually he's here for a week, so he'll carry it to the processor and they'll get it taken care of. So me and Mark broke it down and went on and vacuum sealed it, had it all.
Everything's packaged up, ready to go.
Cooler ready to go. Man, we got back that night, and Keith's like, I had a roll treatment. He said, man, Malcolm's place, Mark, Brad, everybody down. He's like, yeah, they're not getting anybody else on the list. I'm on the list now. So like I say, Keith, he's living it up right then.
Yeah. He was as tickled as I'd ever seen.
Oh,
when I got there. Yeah, man, it was like, you could just tell that was excitement. He loved every minute of it. And to be able to do that, yeah, it's awesome. That's why we do stuff like that, to let people that don't get the experience.
That was no doubt. Yeah. I've had a ball this hunting season. I want to say this has been one of the, I didn't think it was going to be, because I'm going to be honest, I was not fired up about hunting in October, November. I just wasn't. And this has been one of the best hunting seasons. And that was the best moment of this hunting season, hands down, 100%.
I don't know. We all take it for granted what we can get out and do. And I mean, it's not that simple for some of these guys. And everybody needs to get out ahead. It ain't got to be 180 to be a trophy.
The guy, when I was watching Deer Meat for Dinner dude last night, that's exactly what he said. He said, if it fires you up, it's a shooter. It don't matter what. It could be a freaking spike. If it fires you up, it's a shooter.
And see, that's the thing. You got, and I'm not knocking any of them, but you got all these TV shows, they're shooting monster deer for real. And then you got social media. Everything you shoot, somebody got some smart mouth comment to judge it. And man, if it's a 4-point and that's what's on your property and that's what you're happy with, dude, that's a trophy in your property.
Absolutely.
I was sitting there last night, me and you hunting. I should have said it out loud. I said, man, what if Ricky just showed up? That would have been the best deer of the season. If Ricky would have just walked out.
If Ricky would have showed up and Keith killed it, that'd been $1,200 mount.
Oh, man. Yeah, we got his old cousin, little Dickie, out here now. Though.
Yeah.
That joker's horns is all melted. I don't know what's done happened to him. He's the weakest little 8-point you ever seen. I mean,
his tines are that tall.
Yeah. The 1/4-inch tines and his main beam just kind of melt and twist.
Look,
I don't know what happened to that dude.
If, them crazy folks that believe he died and come back as an animal, that would be the buck I would come back as.
What's the one on
open range buck?
Yeah, open range. Yeah, one horn.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that poor deer. Man, he is on the camera
He is everywhere.
Night. But I ain't seen him in the daylight. I've been looking.
I've seen him almost every time I sit in the stand.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You ain't shot him?
You talking about the
look? It's got the wavy main beam and the little.
No, I'm talking about the other one. The one we was
Ricky.
Was missing the.
Oh, the one side.
Oh, yeah.
That's open range.
No, I ain't messing with open range.
Yeah.
Open range is still out. I'm giving him, I think he broke. I hope he's coming back.
Yeah, I think he's broke.
Yeah, I don't think he's injured, but we are starting to see some knock the horns off already, man. Yeah. This is early this year.
It's
to me, that tells you they went ahead and got the does bred. Because I'm noticing in the pigs that we're not, does aren't spread out anymore. It's big groups of family does.
The bucks are grouping back up.
You got all the little bucks together. The big bucks are they know they got 10 days before they can join the pack.
Yeah.
But that's what we're seeing. So I think we're going to have next month. Like, we didn't see horns in February last year. I think we're fixing to start seeing them.
I think so.
That's what
I think so. I think the does are bred.
Me and Darren were talking like Hardin Point, technically their archery season, because Arkansas, I think it goes to end of February.
Yeah.
He said they've seen over the past couple of years, they had to shut it off end of January just because they get so many deer dropping their horns and you shoot what you think's a big doe and it's not.
Well, you don't think about it. I guess the screw ups that could happen is you go out there like we did last night to do a late season doe harvest. And you shoot a big doe and you go out there and look, and that could have been the deer that you've been wanting to let grow.
Or you've been passing all season.
You've been passing all season, and it's an antlerless deer. It's still legal, but you done killed your big deer and didn't mean to.
Accident. Yeah.
So it'd be this last week of season, y'all keep your eyes out.
Look them heads.
Well, you got to watch it for sure. I mean, a lot of times your bucks are busted up. So you think it's just like, oh, I want to get him out of the herd. We're going to cull him. Well, he might just be a little broke up from fighting. That don't mean he ain't coming back. So I'm real hesitant. Unless it's one of your targets that survived and you're just now, because this is a great time to buck hunt. The evenings, right now, the bucks they're coming to eat. So if you got a green field, you got any kind of food source, they're coming to you right now. Now, often it's going to be at night. I've noticed that on our cameras. We're seeing more nocturnal activity than ever. But we've pressured them. They've been pressured deer season. That's just what they do. There's not as much cover for them. If you notice, the woods and stuff are wide open now. You can go in places where you normally can't see too good. You can see all through them.
Ways, yeah.
So those bucks, they're laid up somewhere close, but they're moving at night. But you can catch them in the fields. You just got to watch it. But I'm pumped. I mean, this has been a great deer. So we got a lot more stories.
Oh, we got a ton to cover
that we're going to get to. So this is just
traveling this year and stuff we'll talk about later on. But
we got all fall. It's time to. I'll tell you what I'm starting to see, the coyotes. We want to get on them. Coyotes and coons, trying to get on those turkey killers.
I've killed 2 bobcats this year already.
Man, that was a big bobcat on camera this morning up there.
Where It was yesterday afternoon.
Standing on that log.
Yeah.
That'd be a good mount, just how that picture was. It was good looking.
Yeah.
But no,
So did we announce our winners last week? I know. Did you still didn't get the
names?
We
announced the winners. I didn't have the names. I don't have them now.
That's okay.
They should be getting their stuff. You should have your stuff by now. If not, reach out to us and we'll
come back next week and we'll do another giveaway. We can figure out what it is. It might be something else easy where we can just get some names in there and pick something for them. But we got some more stuff in the swag closet that we can send out. But
we got to do some work today.
I got to do some videos.
Yeah. I got to dress a deer.
You got a deer to cut up over there. Mark's got one hanging. We got some bison to cook. We got some axis deer to cook. We got all kinds of stuff to cook now. Plenty of whitetail. We ain't made no sausage yet.
How was that backstrap last night?
Oh man. So after we went on our little doe patrol last night adventure, we come back and cook. It was just me and Mark down here, and he's like, "What do you want to eat for dinner?" And he said, "Well, so we had one
of Michael's backstraps was out there.
Yeah, from where Chef Michael Hunter came and hunted with us.
Yeah,
there was still some of his meat in the cooler out there, dry aging. So Mark said, "Let's get one of them backstraps and fry it up." I was like, "Shoot, you ain't got to ask me twice." So we cut that. Mark, so what'd you pound before we went hunting? You kind of cleaned it up.
Yeah. I cleaned the backstrap up and I cut it into basically double cut steaks. They're about 1.5 inches thick. Make them a little thicker, and then take that meat mallet and just whoop it out. I mean, we had some, pretty good sized country fried backstrap, and we put in a little bit of buttermilk, a little bit of TX, a little bit of hot sauce, and just let it sit in the fridge while we were gone hunting, And we did have a Wagyu ribeye that I pounded out too and put off in there with that deer beef.
That wasn't fair.
That was so good.
Y'all ever done that? Mark bought it was a Walmart Wagyu brisket or ribeye, but he pounded it out just whole, pounded out ribeye, seasoned it and floured it, and then fried that dude. And it looked like it looked like a crusted up ribeye steak, a little thin because it's pounded out. He cut that dude up. Oh man. It would melt in your mouth.
It was meat butter, fried meat butter.
Yes. And we had a little creamy horseradish sauce we squeezed on the plate to appetizer, dip it in. Oh, we got fat last night.
That's why y'all didn't get up this morning.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I told him. I said, we got to get that dough. I ain't hunting this morning. It's going to be 12 degrees. Why am I going out there?
I was a dummy. I sit out there. Well, I wasn't in the cold. I had the heat on too. I had her wide open. Did not see a deer though.
We boiled a pot of taters and
green beans,
stewed down some green beans with some bacon, and then Mark made a quick gravy. Man, it don't get no better than that.
Simple eating.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
No backstrap. I rather have, to me, like if you run a backstrap through one of them meat tenderizers, the cubers, it's good.
It tastes different to me.
Huh?
It has a different taste to me.
It does. It tastes different. It feels different, but it ain't nothing better than old meat mallet or a glass bottle, and you whoop it out flat.
See if y'all can hear this. Hold on.
I can hear it.
Can y'all hear that?
Hear the birds.
Yeah.
That's common.
Barely can hear the turkeys.
Man, we gotta get this video online.
Oh, that hen the other day, she sounded horrible. She was making all the noise she possibly could make.
Let's start cutting up. Yeah. There you go. That gets me excited, boys. Oh, they cutting up.
She never made a complete call. It was like 2 notes. Burp, burp. Burp, burp, burp.
They in there.
That was it.
They in there, Mikey. They in there. We just got to go get them.
Hold on now. Y'all worry about Salem. This is my little honey hole over here.
It's going to be fun. But no, that's about it for today, I think. Mark, you want to take us on out here?
Yeah. We appreciate y'all listening. We got a ton of stuff coming up this year. We got a lot of content coming out, and y'all follow along because it's going to be a good ride. But if y'all got any questions, shoot us a message on Facebook or Instagram, any of the platforms, and we're going to keep putting out content, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right, we gone.